Hello, everyone. This is Crystal Montague, and welcome to ARC 101. I'm here today with Joy Body, who is one of our experts at the Airline Help Desk. And today we're going to go over everything you need to know about ARC, especially from an airline side with our transaction processing, how the scheduling works, as well as everything ARC does for you, from fraud, as well as agency accreditation. So a couple of housekeeping items. We are recording the webinar today, so you will receive a link to the recorded webinar within the next couple of days. We'll also be sending you a presentation as well. And in addition to the link that will be sent, once it is available, we are going to post it on the education portal behind my ARC, so you will be able to find it there as well. We are taking questions throughout the webinar, so if you do have questions, please feel free to submit them using the question chat box, and we'll be answering them there. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Joy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. Today, I'm going to present an overview of our transaction processing, understanding ARC concepts and schedule, our data output, and I'm going to go over the tools behind the My ARC portal. I'm going to also cover document retrieval service, DRS, and disbursements, agency management, and fraud prevention. ARC helps airlines and travel agencies connect, grow, and thrive by delivering flexible distribution solutions, innovative technology, and access to the world's most comprehensive air transaction data. ARC is a trusted and reliable provider of distribution solutions, and we settle more than $88.5 billion annually between more than 230 airlines and over 12,000 travel agency locations. Here we have, here we have a review from one of our trusted customers outside of the airline and agency industry. This is a customer that purchases our data product. Over the last 5 years, our academic research program has dramatically benefited by relying on ARC's comprehensive ticketing data. We trust ARC's expertise and quality of data to ensure our research projects are successful. ARC's air travel data has allowed us to explore and deliver breakthrough research around itinerary choice models and consumer purchasing patterns. We are very grateful for the support of ARC and ARC's data team for advancing our travel behavior analysis research. ARC is a global source of airline data. Transaction types processed by ARC include sales, e-ticket, and non-e-ticket, and also electronic miscellaneous documents, EMDs. There's two types of EMDs, the standalone EMDs, which are referred to as EMDS, and those are used independent of an e-ticket for services such as ground transportation, deposits, and residual value. And we also have the associated EMD, which is the EMDA. These are linked to an electronic ticket at the coupon level. Multiple EMDAs can exist for a single ticket. An EMDA coupon is considered used once its associated flight coupon is used. Baggage or seat upgrades are more likely to be issued on an EMDA, but whether a service is issued on an EMDA or EMDS depends on the individual airline. We also, of course, process exchanges, refunds, voids, and debit and credit memos. The exchanges, refunds, and voids are transactions that the agents can process in their IAR sales report. IAR provides the travel agents the ability to perform these transactions directly in IAR, within the appropriate void window, the void modification window, using the EDIFACT messaging process. ARC's EDIFACT messaging process is used for updating the e-tickets and EMDs, and we have a matrix on our corporate website, arccorp.com, that summarizes each airline's EDIFACT messaging capability. So make sure you check in and review that matrix, and so you'll know what your airline supports. Debit and credit memos flow through Memo Manager, and always remember that debit and credit memos are settled in cash only. We also process adjustments or AAD type transactions. AAD is an agent automated deduction. If a travel agent forgets to claim commission on a ticket, they're able to issue an AAD. As long as the commission is $25 or less and the ticket in question was issued and previously settled within the past 12 weeks. They can create an AAD directly in their IAR tool. In addition, an AAD may be created for a ticket in the current sales reporting week once that ticket has been sent to the carrier after the void modification window has passed. Agency Sales Report, Interactive Agent Reporting, or we refer to it as IAR. IAR is the agents report sales via their IAR tool. It's a web-based tool, and the ticketing transactions load directly from the GDS files into IAR. Agents can add, correct, and void transactions as per the business rules. IAR is a settlement database. It edits the transactions based on those established business rules and stores the data for 13 months after the ticket issue date. The airline-approved IAR business rules include commissions. They cannot exceed the value of the fare. Exchanges. They're validated. Exchanges are validated previously reported by the agency. Form of payment. It validates that the carrier accepts the form of payment. Tax codes. It validates that the correct codes were used. And ticket refunds. They cannot exceed the amount of the ticket. They must be refunded within 13 months from the date of issue, and it validates that the refund is applied to the original form of payment. And for voids, they follow the business rules of the void modification window, which is by midnight the following business day of the sale. The modifiable ticketing fields in IAR are taxes that come in error, commissions, penalties, and waiver codes. And because those fields are modifiable in IAR, we always stress that these transactions should be monitored or audited by the airlines. Monitor your sales to make sure that the fares and commission and taxes are correct. Modify audit the penalty to make sure the penalties are applied within the airline's ticketing policies. And for refunds, you want to make sure that the calculations are correct and also that your policies are in place.
Okay, so Joy, we just got a question, and they want to know, are debit memos settled as well?
Yes.
IAR.
Yes, debit memos are settled in IAR.
Go ahead.
In IAR, in Memo Manager, once a travel agent selects the pay option, it moves that debit memo directly over to the agent sales report, and then it'll flow through our normal settlement process. You will find those debit memo transactions output in cycle 7 or the weekly outputs for your online carrier reports and CAT files. And keep in mind that debit memos will be settled in cash. Managing ticketing discrepancies. This is where carriers use ARC Memo Manager to collect refund amounts due in ticketing transactions. Electronic delivery of memos processed through ARC settlement system. Various functions available are going to be the dispute function, where agencies can dispute a memo, a correspondence where the airline, the agency, the GDS, and ARC's resolution teams can use the correspondence field. And then also there's reporting options in Memo Manager, where you can run various queries and output the reports. Memo Manager is an optional product offered by ARC, and a separate contract is required. Okay, period ending date. Our whole settlement process is driven by the period ending date, or the PED. The PED is your sales week. The weekly sales start on Monday and end on Sunday, so the PED date is always a Sunday. And we do have adjustments on our processing calendar for holidays, for federal holidays. And the period ending date is what drives our 445 monthly schedule. There's an extra week, a fifth Sunday, for the 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th months of the year.
Okay, now some of you were saying that the sound isn't working. It's actually, if you use your PIN that you received in the email, you should be able to hear. So if you can, I know some of you said you cannot hear, please just make sure you're using the PIN that was included in the email. Sorry, Joy, I just wanted to make sure that everyone is able to hear.
Processing centers. We just made a change to our processing center, so this is an exciting area to discuss. We no longer have 3 processing centers or area banks as of November 2018. All sales reporting is located in Bank 7 IAR. And historically, we had used the area banks as an internal method for batching the transactions, but all sales reporting has been done in IAR for many years. The processing center is the first number and the reference number. Currently, it's only 7 or 9, but if you're researching transactions that were settled before November 2018, you will still use banks 4 and 5 in your research. Area Bank 7 contains the finalized settled transactions. All transactions reported by the agency for the week are included in Bank 7. And then we also have Center 9. Center 9 is our daily electronic credit card billing transmission. We refer to as the ECCB. Center 9 is a report that's delivered to your credit card processor. The carrier receives their disbursement from the processor. ARC only disperses the cash settlement. This Center 9 file can also be delivered via ARC transmission in the same manner that you receive your CAT file, and it's also available in the suite of online carrier reports. The reference number is also key in understanding the settlement report. The settlement involves the processing week, the cycle, and the center. The reference number is what you'll use to locate reports and transactions in Centers 7 and 9. Every report has a specific reference number. Every settled document has a specific reference number. Looking at this chart here, you'll see the first set of numbers is going to be the processing center, either 7 or 9. The second set of numbers is going to be the month, 1 through 12. The third number is going to be the processing week, 1 through 5. And then the last number is going to be the processing cycle, 1, 2, 3, 6, or 7. And when there is data available in the normally null files 4 and 5, you will see cycle. You'll see a 5 under the processing cycle. What is a 4-4-5 month schedule? ARC divides the year based on the number of weeks in a month. It's a result of Sunday being the last day of the sales week, as we mentioned earlier. It doesn't fall in the traditional number of weeks per month. We have a document that's online in the ASP bulletin section in my ARC that outlines the processing schedule. And we publish this annually every year, and usually around between the end of October to mid-November. Our processing cycles. ARC processes the transactions in cycles. That's why we call our files cycle files instead of daily files. And keep in mind, a week has 7 cycles. Your Monday and Tuesday sales and refunds are going to be in cycle 1, and cycle 1 is output on Friday. Then we have Wednesday sales and refunds, which are output in cycle 2, which is delivered on Saturday. And then we go through the week. You'll have the null file, cycle 4 and 5. You will receive a file or a report on Monday and Tuesday, but they are almost always going to be empty files. Unless there's a federal holiday that impacts the cycles, which will be detailed for you on that processing calendar, those files are going to be null. And then we have cycle 7, which is delivered on Thursdays along with the weekly file. So if you're getting cycle reports and weekly reports, you'll receive 2 on Thursday. And this is what the average week looks like, a week without a holiday. On this calendar mock-up, you'll see the sales period begins on a Monday. The agent begins issuing tickets on Tuesday. The agents can void and modify Monday sales, and you'll see Monday and Tuesday sales and refunds output in cycle 1, which is delivered on Friday, and then it moves on through the week. On Sunday, that's the end of your sales period. So all of your sales from, on this calendar, Monday the 6th to Sunday the 12th, you'll get your cash disbursement on Friday the 17th, always 5 days after the sales period ends. Data output. Your CAT file, or the carrier account transmission, that's going to be your primary ticketing data for your revenue accounting processes. Some of the options for the CAT file is weekly or daily, and you can elect weekly or daily or both. You can have as many outputs of your CAT file as needed. There's no additional cost for the CAT file output. They're included as part of your core participation package. The CAT file can be transmitted via SFG directly to the carrier or via IINet. It can be delivered to any of your third-party contractors as well. Your cycle, weekly, or both transmissions, cycle, weekly, or both file transmissions are available. Keep in mind that voided ticket data is not output on the CAT files. Only settled data is contained in the CAT files. The CAT files are secure, and keep it in line with our PCI security policies. Your data, your credit card data, is going to be masked or encrypted. And the CAT file is also it's the equivalent of the hot file in the BSP world. And there's a note here that cycles 4, which is delivered on Monday, and cycle 5 are almost always going to be null. And then we have an output calendar here that shows you what time to expect the delivery of those files. So when you set up your programming, you'll know the times that you need to use. MyArc. What is MyArc? It's our web portal, and it's the gateway to most of our products and services. The products that are included with your participation fees are going to include the online carrier reports, Carrier Ticketing Authority Center or CTAC, airline notifications, airline dashboard, where you'll find your airline statistics, the agency contact and ownership information, and also the notifications. And then we also have our airline education portal behind MyArc. And then the two most widely used optional products and services are going to be Memo Manager and the agency list file. Access to MyArc. Each user account is created by the administrator, by your primary administrator. Each product and service is also granted separately by the administrators. Password reset information is going to be sent via email to the email address that's in the record, and that's another level of security. And the email contains the token to create your new password. And then we have the requirements for the username and also the password. And keep in mind that the password expires every 90 days, and it'll prompt you when it's time for you to update your password. The user can edit their profile, all their contact information, everything except their username. So once you select, set up your account and select your username, it's going to be locked, and you won't be able to make any changes to it. So make sure when you create your username that it's something that you're okay with everyone in your entity viewing. Another thing to remember is that the session stays live for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes of inactivity, it's going to lock you out, and you'll be required to log in again when you're ready to pick back up. And this is a chart of the user access roles in MyArc. It just shows you what each role can do, what they have access to. And you can have as many user accounts in MyArc as you need. There's no additional cost or fees for user accounts. And MyArc Live demonstration. We won't be going into MyArc Live today, but these are just some of the things that we go over when we do a live demo. Creating new user accounts, those are done by the actual administrators for your account, and this will all be included in the presentations Chris was going to email to everyone, so you can refer to this if you need step-by-step directions on creating new user accounts. And best practices and requirements. It's always a good idea to log into MyArc at least, I would suggest at least once a month to keep your account active. But for information, we always post information in MyArc, and it's a good resource. So I would log in maybe weekly. And make sure that you do not filter myarcadmin.arccorp.com because that's where you'll be getting your tokens to reset your password and activate your account.
All right, so Joy, before we go on to online carrier reports, let's make sure and see if we have any questions that have now come in. So we'll be going through a couple of these questions. We do have several that have come in already. So when an agent settles debt memos outside of IR, and it's their own choice, or is that working through an airline?
When agents settle debit memos outside of IER.
Yeah, so is that something that they decided to choose, or is that something that they worked out with the airline?
Okay, so if an agent settles a debit memo outside of Memo Manager or IER, I mean, they do have the choice, but the preferred method is debit memos to be settled in Memo Manager, and that's what we educate the agency community to do. The agency community knows that is the preferred choice, but if they settle it outside of IER, I think you may be referring to if they settle it directly to the airline. Yeah, that would be between the agency and the airline.
Okay. So if you're an airline and you upload a debit memo to a travel agency that does not have a signed contract for ARC Memo Manager, so they're an ARC agent but they're not working with Memo Manager, will that still go through to that agency?
Yes. If an agency, once an agency receives their accreditation, they automatically have access to my ARC. Travel agents do not have to sign a contract through for Memo Manager. It's a part of their onboarding, and they're trained on using the tool. But if an agent doesn't use Memo Manager, maybe you're referring to if an agent doesn't log in and view the memos, I'm not sure what the actual question is, but all travel agents, hopefully that answers the question that all travel agents do have access to ARC Memo Manager.
Right. So basically, as an agency comes on board, they will all have access to Memo Manager. It's not a contract that they need to sign.
Right.
They just automatically have access to it. So it's unlike with the airlines, they need to sign a contract in order to utilize Memo Manager. One of the next questions is in regards to, is there a plan to get data sooner to the airlines? The answer is yes. We're currently undergoing a transformation, and we're looking at how we do our entire settlement process. So we are looking at ways that we can have faster settlement, faster distribution to the airlines, and more information will be coming on that throughout the year as we go through our transformation efforts. The next one that we received, if you do have questions, please make sure that you submit them through the question section. You still see that when you log into the webinar. At this time, we don't have any additional questions. There was just one other question about the void timelines, if you could provide more details on that. And then we'll go back to that and then continue on with the rest of the presentation.
Okay. So for the void timeline, the travel agents have until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to void a document. And because our business hours are Monday, business days are Monday through Friday, a document that's issued on Friday, they have until 11:59 p.m. For Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, transactions can be voided up until 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday.
Okay, so another question just came in. So if voided transactions are not sent to the airline through the CAT file, how will the airline know if the ticket was in fact used or just skipped?
Okay. We do output, the voids are output in the online carrier reports, and there's other void reports that your account managers, you can work with your account managers on getting custom void reports, but we do output the void data on the online carrier reports, and also you can locate those voided documents in DRS.
All right, well, thank you, Joy, for that. Again, please continue to submit all your questions. We're going to continue going through the presentation. We do have a lot of material to cover, and we have around 30 more minutes, so we're going to try to get through as much as we can today. If we don't, we will schedule a part 2. So we'll start now with online carrier reports.
Online carrier reports, or the OCRs, they provide your settled transactions. They're your financial reports. The reports are organized on a frequency basis. We have cycle, weekly, monthly, and ad hoc reports for both the credit card and the cash transactions. We provide your disbursement data on a biweekly basis. There's a monthly financial statement, and these reports are available online for 90 days. If you find that you need access to a report beyond the 90-day period, you can contact my team at the Airline Help Desk, and we can have those reports recreated for you. But keep in mind, they do incur a fee for the recreate. Credit card numbers are masked by default, but they can be unmasked by the airline. The primary administrator can grant access to view credit cards on the report. Users, you are granted access by your administrator for the online carrier report tool. This is a list of the available reports behind my ARC, and as you know, each report requires its own report ID, and this document provides that for you. It gives you the frequency and the distribution name for the report. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the most widely used online carrier reports. And this slide, it just gives you, it's just showing you how to use the filter function. And again, it's going to be included in the presentation. You're going to log into your MyARC portal to access the online carrier report. You'll select it in your toolbox. And the most frequently used report is going to be the report that's titled Carrier Report, or the report ID CARRPTS, and CARRPTSW is the weekly version of that report. You're going to find all of your settled transactions, your tickets, taxes, commission, and form of payment for each transaction. You'll see your credit card payments and then your cash sales. You'll see a subtotal summary that's going to provide the net remit for each individual agency that had sales on your airline for either the cycle or the week. Each cycle has a cycle summary. The weekly carrier report is going to show you the withholding amount and net disbursement for the processing bank. You're going to have the summary of your total fares, commissions, and your net remit. Transactions of the week for a specific bank, Bank 7 or Bank 9, and it's going to give you your entire sales summary for the week. For credit cards, the most frequently used reports are going to be the Carrier Credit Sales Report, or report ID CREDSAL. And this is a cycle report. It's just like the cash report. We refer to it as the Credit IAR report. This report is not to be used for an invoicing purpose. It's going to provide the settled transaction data, the same as the carrier report, but only for the credit card transactions. And you'll use this report to reconcile your credit card sales report that you receive from your credit card processor. And then we have the weekly carrier credit sales report, or report ID CREDSALW. This report is great for researching your transactions that are processed through our electronic credit card billing. It includes the TCN, reversals, and confirmations in credit card number order. It does not provide information to assist with reconciliation. Then we have the weekly ECCV report and the credit card summary report. The credit card summary report, CCSUMM is the report ID, and that is used as a part of the reconciliation process. And then we have the Center 9 report, the credit card sales report, which we also refer to as the ECCB report. This is just an online version of the file that's transmitted to your credit card processor. It's a carbon copy of what we send to your credit card processor. This report is a daily report. It doesn't fall under our cycle reporting. This goes out 7 days a week, 365 days a year to your credit card processor for the sales of the previous day. It's not output in cycles, so it's important that you understand that. This data has not been settled, and it does contain the voided tickets for the previous transmission. Then we have the credit card summary, CCSUMM, which is another daily report. You use that to reconcile your credit card sales with the report that you get from your credit card processor. This is the report where you'll use the cross-reference number and invoice number. The cross-reference number is key to reconciling in your reconciliation process in the report from your credit card processor and the ARC report. And this is just giving you a definition of what the letters stand for in the reference number. This, again, the confirmation is sent to your credit card processor, and there's a memo section in the credit sales report, CREDSAL. The weekly credit card reports, the weekly ECCB report is just a weekly version of the credit card sales report. And then we have the monthly report, the itemization of care deduction, report ID CARRPTS. This is another very important report. It shows all of your deductions made during the previous month. This report is going to be posted after the Thursday after the first period ending date of the month. And then we also have the carrier statement. It's a monthly report, and it just shows the deductions, and it provides, it shows you your share of your transaction count. It's similar to the data that's found in the carrier dashboard. The carrier disbursement advice, another very important report. The report ID is DISBADV, and this report is posted twice a week. You're going to have a cycle 1 and a cycle 7 report. The reference number starts with 00 for this report. Cycle 1 is usually null unless there's a holiday on a Monday or Tuesday that impacts the cycles. This report will be null, but when there is a holiday, you'll just need to add cycle 1 and the cycle 7 disbursement advice to get your total for the week. This report is going to show your total revenue. It shows it lists the deductions for AST fees and deductions for reversals. The deductions, they'll be listed on the report as a deduction, and they include legal fees as well. ASP fees, those are going to include your participation fees, transaction processing fees, and then the reversal. It's going to, that'll appear when there have been funds reversed due to an agency being placed into default. And this slide is going to show you just how to navigate in the report. It shows you what the icons are for printing and exporting. But this green arrow here is going to be the most important icon that you need to be familiar with. You must click that every time you open your sales report so that it will download the entire report, because the report is defaulted to the first 20 pages. So in order to get your full report, make sure you just get in the habit of every time you open the report, just to click the download entire report button. And This is just a view of what the report looks like. The column headings, and you'll see you'll have a summary with the net remit for each agency on the carrier sales report. Okay. And then here's your summary, probably the most important area on the carrier sales report. Is going to give you all of your totals, including your net remit. And this is a screenshot of your disbursement advice. This is an older copy that when we had all 4 banks still in use, it would give you the totals and then your gross. Today you will only see Bank 7 listed here, and again your net disbursement. The Net Remittance Concept. Again, ARC processes transaction using a net remit concept. Your net remit, just think of as your fare plus the tax minus commission is going to be your net remit. And the same applies in reverse for refunds. Understanding net remittance. ARC operates on a net remit basis. Net remittance does not include credit card payments. Data on credit card transactions are available on the CredSol report. For credit card sales, use CredSol data to reconcile with the data from your processor. Tickets settled as fare plus tax less commission, if any, equal your net remit. And again, another reminder that memos are always settled in cash and commissions are always settled in cash. Reconciling your weekly reports. This is just giving you 3 ways to reconcile. And some of the additional web tools behind my ARC is going to be CTAC, which is your one-stop for all ticketing, revocations, and reinstatements. It's the most user-friendly tool that we have here at ARC. And this is the tool that you use to revoke or reinstate a travel agent's ticketing ability. And we send those on a report to the GDSs on an hourly basis, 7 days a week. And airline notifications. This slide will show you which notifications are, which types are included as notifications in the carrier dashboard and which ones are still included under the carrier bulletin section. The carrier dashboard, again, another very useful tool. It's the one-stop shop for agency information. It provides key information, contact information for the travel agency. And then we also have our airline education portal, which is our online training platform, and it's located under resources in my ARC. So make sure in your free time that you take a look at what's available there. Areas of focus include ARC 101, reporting and settlement, tools and resources, ARC products, agency lifecycle, and fraud prevention.
All right, Joy, so before we move on to DRS, I just want to check in and see if there are any additional questions that have come in which we do have several. So one question is it possible to have all the agents provide an email address? And so this is something that we have been working on since last year. It's called the Customer Contact Project, in which we are asking all of our agencies to submit an email address, not only for their business overall, but also for key roles, such as their debit memo contact, their chargeback contact. And so this information is displayed on the carrier dashboard. We've had a really good response so far, and the numbers are actually going to be reported out in the next airline newsletter that's going out in March. So stay tuned for the newsletter, and you'll be able to see how many of our agencies have actually gone in and supplied us with that information. And it's not just a one-time thing. We're continually reaching out to these agencies to make sure all of those fields are populated moving forward. The next question goes back to the scheduling. So, Joy, what happens if the Monday is a bank holiday?
Okay. what happens if the next Monday is a bank holiday? Bank holidays don't impact our processing schedule. This is in conjunction with when is the void going to be performed the following day. If a holiday that's recognized by ARC, a U.S. federal holiday that's recognized by ARC, falls on a Monday or a Tuesday, the agents are granted an additional day, an extension. They're granted an extension. So that's all detailed in our processing calendar. You'll know, you can view the calendar and it'll detail the impact to the cycle.
Right. Another question that just came in is, how is IAR connected to the GDS? So, for example, when does the ET status change to an R when a refund is gone through IAR with the ESAT code? So can you provide more details on the connection between IAR and the GDS for refunds?
How's IAR connected to GDS? Okay, so IAR is connected to the GDS. The transactions that the travel agents perform in the GDS, those are fed into the agent's IAR report, and then the agent can perform their modifications. And then it says, for example, when does the e-ticket status change to R when refunded through IAR with e-ticket code? Okay, so I think you may be referring to, this area may be referring to the EDIFACT messaging process. And what we'll do is, that's a long question. That question has a lot of levels to it. So I'll write up the answer and we'll include it with the presentation.
Okay, perfect. Okay? We'll do that.
Yeah.
So Joy, how is a memo related to credit card reports? How are memos shown on the credit card reports? And are they shown on the credit card reports?
Yes, the memo, when it says how's memo related to credit card reports, so debit memos are settled in cash, so you will see the memos on the carrier sales report. If that's your question, if I'm answering your question, if I'm understanding your question correctly, settled memos are going to be output on the cash report.
Okay. The next question is in regard to CTAC and historical data. This is something that we have heard from our airline partners, and that they want the ability to create reports to show the historical data for CTAC, and we are working on this enhancement. This is part of how we are transforming our products and our settlement services, and so more information, again, will be released on what's going on with our whole transformation efforts, but it is something that has been identified and is on our enhancement list. Next question is, Joy, can you confirm how a commission amount is not shown in a net remit?
Yes, the commission, the net remit is going to be the fare plus tax minus commission, so it's not included in the net remit. The net remit is what we're going to disperse to the airline, and of course the commission is dispersed to the travel agent.
What happens if an agency refunds a ticket and enters the incorrect refund amount? How can they correct this error?
Okay, so if an agent has a discrepancy in the refund and it goes through the airline's audit process, the airline can issue a debit memo for the discrepancy. But if it's in the current sales period, the travel agent can contact our agency support team, and they will provide assistance with them for correcting the error.
Okay, great. All right, so we have around 10 more minutes, and so we're going to get through the remainder of the presentation. If we're unable to answer your questions, please feel free to submit them. We are going to be doing a Q&A write-up for all the questions that were submitted. So in the event that we're unable to get to your question, please, again, feel free to submit that, and we'll make sure that it's answered in the Q&A. So next, we're going to go over Document Retrieval Service, or DRS.
Okay. So document retrieval service is ARC's data warehouse. We store 39 months of data. The data can be exported. We have 3 main search options with various ways to run your queries. You have a choice to view your transactions in a detailed image or a ticket view image, whatever your preference. And the user administration is different from my ARC. So you will have a security manager, and it can be the same or a different contact than the primary administrator in my ARC. It's accessible from its own secure website, and now we have the functionality to where you can link your account to your MyArc account, and you won't need an additional login. And this is just a screenshot of the landing page for DRS, the search engine. A sample view of the ticket detail, if you like to read your data in this view. And disbursement fees and other important financial information. Your financial output, the credit sales wire. Keep in mind that your your disbursements for your credit sales are going to come from your credit card processors. Your weekly wire, that's going to come from ARC, and it's going to go to your designated airline bank account. And we deduct the various fees for ASP shortages, ARC processing fees, and your products and services, and also reversals. Those are deducted from your cash disbursement. The online carrier report, the itemization of carrier deduction is key to knowing your monthly cash deductions. And this is a list of the ARC 2019 fees. And this list, again, is always located behind my ARC, the carrier bulletin section. Oh, yes, as well as in the manual for carriers. And managing your participation level, monitor your program to ensure the best pricing. There's no difference in products or services between the programs. The only difference is pricing. Conversions from one model to another can be made every 6 months, and the conversion up to the next model requires the one-time joining fee. Prior joining fee payment is credit. For example, if $5,000 has already been paid for the transaction-only program, then an additional $5,000 will be required for the associate program. Agency management. Our ARC's accreditation process is Gold Star. We accredit all U.S. travel agents. We run background checks on the owners and managers. There's 2 years of ticketing experience required, and also an ARC specialist qualifier has to complete our exam to be labeled as the qualifier. The financial guarantees, the bonds, 10,000 minimum, 70,000 maximum, based on calculations done on their sales by our bond department. The financial guarantees, bonds, letter of credit, or cash. And then the agents must sign our reporting agreement. It's a 3-party agreement between ARC, the agent, and all ARC participating airlines. And we have various entity types, ticketing and non-ticketing entities. Once an agent is approved, the airlines will receive a notification of all pending and newly appointed agencies, and the airline notifications are accessed via MyArc. Agents are automatically appointed as agent for the airline unless otherwise notified by the airline, and then ticket issuance begins. The airlines control new and existing agents via our CTAC tool. Then behind our corporate website, we have contact information for travel agencies. So I always suggest that you take a look and make sure that your agency profile and your policy link is accurate and up to date. If you want to make any changes, just contact my team at the Airline Help Desk. The agency default and claims process. Most defaults occur with a dishonored weekly draft. The agents have 48 hours to wire the funds to ARC. If it's not received, then ARC revokes the agent's ability to ticket in all of the GDSs. ARC declares the agent in default and issues a notification. And we will reverse the dispersed funds, creating a deduction in the carrier's cash disbursement. ARC will draw on the agent's financial guarantee and settle directly with the airline. If the cash guarantee is insufficient to cover the losses, ARC will disperse the financial guarantee on a prorated basis, and then look at taking additional legal action to recover funds. Airlines can submit claims for default agents, and keep in mind there's no need to submit the claims for losses that are involved in sales on their sales report. Any other losses covered under the ARA, usually a debit memo has been issued for those. You would contact our financial recovery routine at freeexpress@arccorp.com. Additional legal action is taken against an agency depending on the amount due, and that's a decision that's made by our legal department. They will just take a look to make sure the agency has assets that's worth going after, and you have the ability to opt in or out of this legal action, and it must be done in writing. Fraud prevention. We have a dedicated department and resources. We run daily scans of suspicious transactions. We've worked with law enforcement in the USA and around the world. We have working groups, and we also have a page dedicated to fraud alerts and tips. The key points to walk away with today is understanding ARC concepts and schedule, our data outputs, the ARC tools, the bond claim process, and the resources that you have available, which are going to include the airline help desk and your account manager. And in My ARC, you have the manual for carriers, your online carrier reports, CTAC, the carrier dashboard notifications, the ARA, the CSA, and the TIES document. You also have access to DRS, the education portal, the airline newsletter, and blast email. And your manual for carrier is an important document that provides you with all of the standard operating procedures. And contact information, airline help desk, and your account managers. And then arccorp.com, our corporate website.
All right, thank you, Joy. We have a couple of more minutes left on our webinar today, and we did receive some more questions that came in. Again, we apologize in advance if we're unable to get through all the questions, but we will address each of you personally as well as submit them in a complete Q&A document as well. So I probably only have time for one question. So is there a tool to check the current agency status for ticketing authorization?
Okay, so we post the revocation bulletins in the carrier bulletin section. We don't have, outside of the revocation reports, we don't have a tool, but you can contact my team at the Airline Help Desk if you have a question on a agent's ticketing authority.
All right. And one other question, is IAR the best way to audit commissions that are taken for agencies? Would it be IAR? Okay, so yeah, the airlines do not have access to the agency's IAR report. So to audit commissions, you would use your sales report. We have, there's a section in the sales report, the manual exception section that is used for auditing purposes. If you have any additional questions on that process, you can always give us a call at the Airline Help Desk, and we can show you how to access the manual exceptions for the commission section. And we do also have commission reports that
you can work with your account manager on subscribing to.
Well, it is 3 o'clock. There's only 2 more questions in queue. So what I'll do is I will respond directly to the individuals who ask those questions. Again, they will be in the Q&A doc as well for all to see. And so with that, Joy, thank you so much for this presentation today. There's a lot of questions, especially a lot of questions on debit memos. So we'll probably have another session just to discuss debit memos, how they're processed, how you're able to view them. So we'll have another session specifically on debit memos in the future. And so with that, I just want to say thank you again to everyone for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And you will be receiving an email shortly from me with the link to this webinar as well as the presentation and Q&A document. But if you do have any questions in the interim prior to receiving the information, please do not hesitate to contact me at any time or contact the Airline Help Desk, and Joy or any one of our airline specialists will be able to help you. So again, thank you and have a wonderful day.